man. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Pick and the Polo Show. I'm super excited to be with my friend and co-host tonight. Man, I'm telling you, we got an awesome show in store for us tonight, man. Tonight's show is brought to you by earthblendcoffee.co, black-owned, roasted right here in Jackson, Mississippi. It's just great coffee. The link is in the Facebook description. Click on the link. Support our sponsor, earthblendcoffee.co. People, man, you're locked in to the most talked about podcast in the whole entire state. The
Let's
Pick
get
and the Polo
the Pick
Show.
and Polo
Week
Show.
2, baby.
Week 2. Let's go. Let's get it.
Week 2, baby. I'm telling you, week 2. I'm geared up. The call-in line is open tonight. 1-800-492-5186. That's 1-800-492-5186. Call in. We want to engage with you, the listening audience, tonight. If you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, it don't matter. Hit the share button and tag a friend. I'm telling you, you in for a ride tonight. Pastor?
Yes, sir.
It's on you, baby.
Hey, tonight, man, I want to hit right in because there's been a suggestion. There's been a suggestion, to bring in the National Guard into Jackson, Mississippi. To use the military, and I know where you stand on that. So I want to lay that out tonight to make that the first thing we dealt with, and I want to yield the floor to you. Tell me, and I want the caller. We want the callers to engage us on this if they will. Man, we're talking about bringing in the military to deal with the issue in Jackson, Mississippi.
And I'm for it, Pastor. I mean, I'm seriously for it, and this, I think this is good because this is our. I don't know. In marriages, they said the first 5 years. In the first 5 years of a marriage, you're not really married.
Right.
You still dating that person, right? So me and you still dating, right? We honeymoon.
All right. That's right.
Because this is going to be our first argument on the air. I am 100% in support of the National Guard coming to Jackson, Mississippi, and show a presence of enforcement. And I'll tell you why, Pastor. 2 weeks ago, when we had a FBI officer that was shot at by a thug, the FBI saturated our community. All right? A lot of people don't know this. They saturated our community. They were door to door. They were at places where they thought this thug would be. And in the process of this saturation, they were able to undisclose 5 more cases of murder where people offered information about different things that had happened because of the pressure that was being pushed on by the FBI. And so JPD, through the assistance of the FBI's, was able to solve about 5 more murder cases.
Right.
So a strong police presence helped solve cases that had just been in limbo.
So here's the key. You said the FBI.
Yeah.
All right. We're talking about the FBI over against the National Guard. You're talking about or the military coming in. And so with the military coming in compared to the FBI, we're just talking about 2 totally different things. And this is not a kick against the military. I mean, I'm a former military guy. I was in an MP unit, actually.
Yeah.
But the design of the military to really be a presence, that is the beginning of communism. When you start talking about bringing the military in.
But, Pastor, we use the military when we have... Okay, got a call. We use the military when we have Hurricane Katrina. We use the military when we have situations where... a community or a state in Ferguson.
But think about this.
You had the military.
Okay, but check it out. There have been horrible, it's been 80 murders in Jackson, right?
Correct.
Horrible, and that's horrible. That means 80 or less people committed a violent crime. Now we're going to bring the military to show their presence where there are another 180,000 citizens who are law-abiding citizens. They got to deal with.
But we're not bringing the military to embark on regular citizens. We're bringing the military to show a sign of order. We don't have any order, Pastor. The city is out of order. How do you gain control over a city that is over 170 officers short, You have juveniles who have no military training, no weapon training, with high artillery weapons,
right,
riding up and down city streets, wreaking havoc. Let me say this, Pat. A juvenile or young person or any person, I'm not going to just say juveniles, any individual that has assault type weapon with bullets that cause all type of carnage, okay?
Right.
And you shooting up your neighborhood. Now, and I want you to just listen to me on this. You shooting up your neighborhood. Take that same individual and put them within 100 square feet of the Capitol in D.C., and let them do that same type of carnage, and it would be considered terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If I take an individual from Lynch Street, take him to D.C., and he fires off his artillery-style weapon at any individual within 100,000 yards within a certain perimeter of the Capitol, the White House, the Pentagon, the Monument, or anywhere in that area, that would be considered a terrorist.
But I'm telling you this, if we break down, every murder in this city is horrible. Every murder is horrible. Everything that's happened is horrible. But if we break down the murders that have taken place in this city, when I'm telling you that military presence has no power to stop that. You're talking about a lot of domestic stuff that has happened. No question, the guns and so forth. But we believe in the right to bear arms, right? So
go ahead, Carly. You on there? Go ahead, Carly. You on there?
Doing good.
We're doing wonderful. How you doing?
All right. I'm pretty much for. I would support military presence because what we got going on, we're in a harsh period of time right now. And I respect what you were saying, Pastor Sticky. You want to go a little lighter on these people. But if you're in a hard situation right now, you don't fight a hard situation with a lighter outcome. You don't have to go as harsh as possible, which is the military's presence. Now, whatever else they've had in land that was supposedly working, I'm not against like when y'all did the little marching or whatever at the other day, but like stuff like that ain't gonna work. You got to show action. Quit playing with these people. We done sit up there. We done talked about stuff forever. You got to show action.
Carla, let me ask you this: when you say it's not going,
action get stuff done.
When you say it's not going to work,
I'm a law-abiding citizen. Polo, you said this the other day. I don't care who they bring in here. I'm right, so I don't have a problem with them putting me on. I don't have a problem with them checking my license and stuff like that. Everything about me, I'm an upstanding citizen, so I don't care who they bring in here. What would they be doing to me if I'm abiding by the law? What's wrong with that?
Right. Well, think about this, Carla.
Why would I be afraid of that?
Carla, think about this. So the first time the National Guard comes in, and we got the National Guard here, and inadvertently, because they're not really trained to deal with city conflict, dealing with the things that are happening, and there's some mass casualties or collateral damage at the hands of the military, then what do we look like then? I mean...
Okay, now you said mass casualty.
I mean, collateral damage.
What would they be doing to have a mass casualty?
I'm saying the same way. If they're here,
collateral damage.
I mean, if somebody shoots at them, and now they break out shooting, the military just is not prepared, and these National Guardsmen are not prepared to fight that way within the community. I mean, why don't we give our Jackson Police Department the information that they need? Why don't we give them the support that they need? Why don't we really get behind in our own communities and give the support? See, and we just don't do that. The real solving of crime, it boils down to communities making the decision that they don't want this type of crime in their community. But we're turning a deaf ear. We're not helping the police. We're turning a deaf ear.
I tell you what, how long would you say that you've been trying to get that through to people past 10 or 20 years? Would you say that you've been trying to get that through to people?
Trying to get
what you're just saying that we need to do. Would you say that this problem? We've had a problem a long time.
Right.
It's just not as bad. But how long have you been trying to fix what you just said? When you first known of this problem, I'm pretty sure you've been trying to implement that for a long time, right?
No, what I've been trying to implement, because you got to understand, all of this is going down to the breakdown of the family. So if you think about it, and I mean, I respect you so much what you're saying, but check this out. So when we back this all the way up, when you start really looking at the issue, the breakdown of the family has caused and allowed this carnage to go how it's gone. So now, if we set the standard of bringing the military for Jackson, Mississippi, that means the military needs to be in Chicago, the military needs to be in Detroit, because we care about everybody, right?
Yeah. I think, I mean, just me personally, and I get what you're saying, because we've had this discussion about families and how we feel about families, and that'll be one of our segments tonight. But I think it's safe to say that you cannot put a price based on perception on lives.
Yes, sir.
I just can't do that, Pastor. I can't sit here and say, well, the perception of how this makes us look. When I have a Jordan McCoy, a little Kiana, a 5-year-old who was gunned down by a high-power artillery weapon that was sold by a Caucasian gun dealer to an African-American person that used that weapon on another African-American person. I cannot sit by silently and say I'm okay with discontinuing, knowing that if a strong military presence, I didn't say military was going to be going in here kicking doors in, arresting people, none of that. They're just there to help shelter law enforcement. Now, if we don't want to do the military, I got something even better than that, because they get the same respect. All right? Well, let's bring in Madison County, Pearl PD, and Brandon, and make it a metropolitan complex police department. Allow them to help and assist Jackson police in calls, if available, and other things. And the reason I say that is because we see that African American people, for some reason or another, I don't know if it's plantation mentality or what, but when the white officer has a badge on, and the white officer comes with military style gear on and their badges, and they're like, they get a whole lot of more respect than black officers. Now why? You that's something you got to ask black people in the hood. But and then they get results. And so if we need to bring Brandon PD, Madison County Sheriff Department, Rankin County Sheriff Department, and Pearl PD, along with Flowood, and to let them come on in and help moonlight and see their cars in Jackson, enter some interlocal agreements, make it a metropolitan police force then. Let other law enforcement agencies come in, patrol, and do stuff in the city of Jackson that will help curb these type of horrendous crimes.
All right, let me throw this out to you. That sounds great and good, but let's understand, we give Madison and Rankin County and all those places really a lot of credit. They are not dealing with the social ills that are in Jackson, Mississippi. They're not dealing with the poverty that's in Jackson, Mississippi. They're dealing with a whole different ball game. Even the black people in those communities, we're dealing with concentrated inner city issues, and it's horrible. Any violent crime is horrible, but we're suggesting something that's just not really the reality of how good or bad we need to get behind in our own community. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm with the team, man. I want to win.
Right.
I want our people to be better, right?
Right.
And I just don't believe the National Guard is the way to go. But
right.
you know,
hold that thought. We gotta go to station ID break. Caller. Hold all thoughts. Listen, people, tonight's show is brought to you by earthblendcoffee.co. That's right, black owned, roasted right here in Jackson, Mississippi. It's just great coffee. The link is in the Facebook description box. Click on the link and support our sponsor, earthblendcoffee.co. You're locked into the most talked about, the most thought-provoking show, podcast on the web. Man, you are locked into the Pick and the Polo show. We will be right back after this station ID break. Pastor, I'm just telling you, the phone lines are lit up,
it's
man.
Burning up.
Lock it and share it.
We got a caller coming in.
We'll be right back after this.
We'll be back to you.
Okay.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
Welcome to the Adventurous Podcast. I'm your host, Deidre Perry, and these are my co-hosts. And weekly, we will be coming to you to bring you the latest information in the world of agriculture. We invite you to join us every Saturday from 10 to 10:30. Join us. Come on, take an adventure.
All right, man. Welcome back, man. Listen, Pastor, the phone lines are lit up. The calling line is 1-800-492-5186. Go ahead, caller. You are on the air.
Pastor Pickett.
Yes.
I wanna revisit when you said about mass casualties or whatever. If conflict were to break out and this and that, I think a lot of criminals have a lot more sense than you think they have. I can't see a mass casualty breakout because somebody starts shooting at the National Guard and all this and that. They do things to, like as Polo said the other day, they do things with JPD because they don't have a lot of respect for JPD. Had that been, like you say, Madison, this and that, you say that they don't deal with this and that. No, they don't deal with that. But the criminal from Jackson knows not to do what they will do in Jackson out there. They know that. So if the National Guard was here, there's no way if I was a criminal, do you think I would get in a shootout with the National Guard to even cause a mess? I wouldn't even be doing anything. It's just like when Frank Milton was around. When he was hitting the streets and doing this and that, word got around. Don't do this, don't do that. They are out there. So if the National Guard was out there, do you actually think the criminals would even attempt to do the things that they do now?
But
the president,
no doubt. But listen to this. When you look at what's happening, the people that are killing people know those people. We don't have random people. We ain't got random killing going on. It ain't just random. Oh, let me go kill somebody. These are these are relational situations, right? So we got to fight this on so many fronts. I just don't personally believe the National Guard is the way to go. But hey, we respect that. We respect every opinion. We got another call on hold.
Thanks for calling. We got another call on hold.
We got another call on hold. Hey, next caller.
Go ahead, caller. You on there?
I ain't no other call.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Pastor. So we're almost 200 officers short. Jackson's metropolitan census says that we should have 500 officers based on the amount of people that's the census says is in this city. We're about 200 to 250, if maybe more than that, short.
Right.
Okay. We understand, and neither one of us are criminologists,
right, no,
but we understand a criminal element.
Right.
All right. We understand the lack of visibility drives crime. Okay. We don't have visibility. All right. And rather it's the National Guards, rather it's Hell's Angels, I don't care who it is. I'm serious, Pastor. I'm serious.
Right.
At this point, I really don't care. I'm sitting at a red light in Jackson, and people don't want to stop at the red light no more. They'll go around you.
Yeah.
I mean, where can you be in a hurry to go in Jackson, where as bad as the streets are, and I'm not bashing Jackson because we all for Jackson, but I mean, you got people driving 100 miles per hour down one way, the turning lane on Highway 80. All right, so where can we be in the city of Jackson where we have to run people over? We have no visibility, and then when we do have a police officer that clearly sees, well, he wasn't a police officer, he was a Hyde County Sheriff deputy the other day, that clearly saw a man had been assaulted and was insensitive to the assault of this man because he was a vagrant. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, what is the sacrifice that we as African American people continue to make on the fact that black people are being slayed at a higher rate in this community than anybody else?
Right.
I mean, I don't give a damn if you bring the Navy SEAL in here. Just get control to where we can control the narrative. And the narrative that I'm talking about is that black lives are being lost in Jackson, Mississippi. Currently, 81 of them. Mm-hmm. 81 African American people have lost their lives in the first, 7 months of this year? And we ain't even made it to August yet. The hotter it get, the more crazier they get.
Right.
All right? So,
you got a caller.
Go ahead, caller. You on there.
Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing this evening?
How we doing? Wonderful. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. This is Marshawn Chrysler. Polo.
Hey, Marshawn. What's up, brother?
Doing well. Y'all got a lively, robust discussion on there. I was going to see if I could chime in on
Come on, man. The floor is yours. We yield to you.
Help us out.
Now, first of all, my connection has been bad, so I don't know everything y'all covered because I've been running on my evening run there, so I couldn't hear everything. But let me just say this on the topic itself. When it comes to implementing, bringing in the National Guard or the military to police up a city, first of all, it's unlikely. I'm going to tell you why. Because anytime you stand up the military and you're talking to a 22-year veteran and a military police officer, it has to be a federal order that is handed down to authorize that mobilization. Mm-hmm. And the other part of it is that the military is not designed to do that type of military support services unless it is to quell unrest or violence in terms of a riot, like you saw up in Washington, D.C. What it's not going to be dedicated to do is civilian law enforcement, nor do the people of Jackson, Mississippi want that type of presence in their city. And the reason why I say that is once you do this, you can't undo it. When you bring in the military, and that starts to take hold in America, as the pastor said earlier, what you are now promoting is the notion of communism. And once communism takes a grip of a country, it is not going back. And if you got any questions about it, do your history lesson on Cuba and see how bad Cuba got it once they became a solid communist society. And I know that sounds drastic, but you must understand the notion of calling in the military by civilians and asking for that type of military, encroachment is exactly what the federal government would listen to. And if that takes hold in Jackson, it'll take hold in America. They're not going to single out Jackson and mobilize the federal military in a city like that because it's going to send the wrong impression to America, not just Jackson, not just Mississippi, but the United States of America. Now, that's just my 2 cents. It is improbable that will not happen.
Marshawn,
and I'm going to be one of the ones to say I'm glad it don't happen.
Marshawn, and I know you are a military veteran, and we thank you for your years of dedicated service to this country. But let me ask you this, and I understand it, Marshawn. I get it. My family is dressed in military, okay? So I get that part. But let me ask you this, and I want to ask you this from a black man's perspective, a public servant's perspective. And I get all of the perception of what America would view this as a communist move, okay? You just had some insurgents to raid the house. the house. You just had D.C. to get raided, January the 6th? Mm-hmm. You had insurgents climb the wall, okay, of the house, all right? And literally took over the Senate floor, all right? Ain't nobody get mad about the military going up there, shutting them down. Because they viewed it as what? A tranny. Okay, now, let's say this. What's the difference when African Americans are losing their lives at the rate that we're losing them in Jackson, Mississippi? You have a police chief, Marshawn, that has no, and this ain't a shot, but he has not given any type of comprehensive protection plan for the citizens of this city. He doesn't have a crime plan in place, okay? You don't have, and this ain't a shot at you because you my friend.
Right.
The churches don't have a crime plan in place.
Right.
The Hines County Sheriff Department, Marshawn, in which you work for,
go ahead.
don't have a crime plan in place. Crime is rampant, and all of us that are historians, all of us that are true historians of America's history, when you do not have order, law and order, you have lawlessness. You are a pastor. You understand what lawlessness is, okay? And I don't care what it takes, all right? Just like Jesus went to the cross and sacrificed for the sins of the world, guess what? We need somebody to come in here and sacrifice, whether it's the military, whether it's Tri-County area. We need somebody to come in here and take up the blood-stained banner of the 81 homicides that are on the streets now, the 123 that were last year, and the 4 years since, and this ain't a shot at my friend, but in the last 4 years, we've had over 503 homicides. 97% of them African-American people, my brother. There's no
right.
face value you can put on that.
Right. Go ahead, Marshawn.
Right. Let me chime in on that and say that, listen, I more than anybody, Polo, am upset with the level of violence that's going on in Jackson, Mississippi. It's ridiculous. We're on pace right now to probably have 160 murders in this city. But notice that this trend is not just subjugated to Jackson, Mississippi. That is national, that violent crimes all across America.
And I'm glad you said that. Right. But Marshawn, watch this.
Hold on. What most cities are not going to do, Polo, they're not going to bring in the National Guard. What they're going to do is what you just said. They're going to come up with a crime prevention plan and a violence committal plan to solve the problem at the civilian level. Now, let me throw something in the conversation that doesn't come up enough. We can talk about the police and JPD and all that, and I want to say to anybody listening, yes, I am biased. I'm a 20-year veteran of law enforcement, civilian and military. But let me just say this, and it'll make all the sense to anybody listening, is that when you look at the totality of what's going on in America, not just Jackson, not just Mississippi, because it's not just germane to us, one of the biggest problems in our system, our criminal justice system, is that we don't hold all the people accountable, Polo. Here's what I'm talking about. And I know it's going to make somebody mad, but I don't care. It's real. I teach this at Hines Community College in criminal justice. The people we don't hold accountable enough are your judges. I want to be very careful and say that again.
I'm with you.
Nobody calls out judges, okay?
I have.
You got judges that got murderers that are being, I'm gonna get a little excited about this one, because I got a real pet peeve with this piece, okay? Because it's like we're afraid to hold judges accountable. Now, how ridiculous is that? You holding people out there on the street, they're putting their lives on the line with a vest on, ready to take a bullet for you. You hold them accountable 24/7. But nobody says anything about judges letting murderers out of jail with a 25-year sentence, 15 years suspended, time served. They do 5 or 6 years for murder. Now, why you ain't saying nothing about that?
Oh, I get it,
Why you ain't saying nothing when they give them a $40,000 bond for murder? How do you give somebody, a murderer, a $40,000 bond? The bond schedule says a minimum of $250,000 for a murderer.
Exactly.
But nobody, tonight or any other time, says anything about the judge.
Well, let me
supposed to go there all planning to be held accountable, and that's unfortunate. Hold on, I got one more piece. The other piece is broken in the system, not law enforcement, not just law enforcement. You got the judicial, I just mentioned that, and the third component is the correctional system. What we have done in America is criminal when it comes to what we do with criminals. What I mean by that is there is no rehabilitation program in America that works. Why? Because there is no rehabilitation program. People are being babysitted in these cages, allowed to be comfortable in these cages, not given a skill set, not be given any pressure on them not to return to the system. Again, that's just a microcosm of what's really going on in the criminal justice system. But I would like to spend a lot more time, my phone might down, a lot more time talking about those other two components. Because we can talk about law enforcement all day, every day. But we need to become educated on what the responsibility of the judicial system is and the correctional system and the criminal justice system in America. That is what's broken, my friend.
Well, listen, you're absolutely right. And there's some issues going on. Look, we're going to end this segment here in a moment. And here's the key. When we come back in this next segment, because this is a hot topic, here's the key. We got to get to the root of the problem.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Right after
the
this
root of the
ID
problem
break. Listen, tonight's show is brought to you by earthblendcoffee.co. That's right, black-owned, roasted right here in Jackson, Mississippi. It's just great coffee. The link is in the Facebook description box. Click on earthblendcoffee.co. Our sponsor tonight. Listen, man, the phone lines are lit up. You are locked into the most thought-provoking show on the web, the Pick and the Polo Show. We'll be right back at this station ID break.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
Socrates Garrett Live every Friday at 6:30 p.m. on WeBelieveDigital.com. Socrates talks politics, finances, and social issues that affect the Black community and so much more. Phenomenal guests and engaging conversation. Straight talk, no nonsense topics that are informative, educational, and inspiring. Socrates goes live with church leaders, politicians, business owners, and others. The time is now. Talking to you about us. Socrates Garrett Live every Friday at 6:30 p.m. on WeBelieveDigital.com.
Hey, man, we are back, man. You are locked into the most thought-provoking show on the web tonight. The call-in line is lit up, 1-800-492-5186. We're live right here with the Pick and the Polo Show, man. Our week 2, bro, and I'm telling you, it's only going to heat up.
It's gotta go.
And we got interesting stuff tonight. But listen, let's just go ahead and just get to the root core. You mentioned it right before the break.
Yeah.
Let's get to the root, all right? And this is just me. And I think we'll agree on this one.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing about what we've learned now about each other, how to agree and disagree. It's not going to change our long-term goal. Because you don't want the military. I do want the military.
Right.
But it ain't going to change about how we feel about going forward in this city and making things happen.
And that's the way real problems are solved. And that's something I think we got to learn in our community and among our people. We can have conflict ain't always bad.
No.
Disagreeing ain't always bad. We're trying to get to the best solution for our community.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
You know that big,
of course I was right, but go ahead.
Yeah, you always right. You the preacher. You know that big pretty car you got, and the big pretty truck you got. You know it moves off of conflict, right?
Right.
The transmission gears have to lock in as friction.
That's right.
And makes it move. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So sometimes conflict moves us into a place where we need to be.
That's right.
And saying that, I know this is going to be a very controversial subject. When we talk about the core of the problem, you've mentioned and me and you have discussed, we have a fatherless society. We don't have any men. Black men have forsaken. They have aborted their responsibilities.
Right.
But more so that you have low self-esteem African-American women that let Jimmy Joe Sausagehead come into the house. And can I say this with you? You gonna be okay with this?
I'm okay.
They let Jimmy Joe Sausagehead, all right, come into the house, lay up in their bed, lay between their legs, bang their head up against the wall with the headboards. The child hears and sees all this. Jimmy Joe Sausagehead doesn't make any investment into the children. Matter of fact, Jimmy Joe Sausagehead will get mad at a father that might not still be with this woman that tries to come by and interact with his children.
Right.
And not on top of that, not only is Jimmy Joe Sausage Head against the father, but if she living in Section 8 or anywhere else with government assistance, they also against the father. So we have multiple correlation things that are targeting fathers, along with media and stereotypical mindsets that's causing the black father to abandon his post.
Right. Well, this is right where my heart is, and it's a very serious thing to me. First of all, I thank God for the fathers that are trying to stand in the gap, right? We got some good fathers out there. But the real issue that at the core of our problem is the breakdown of the African-American family. The African-American family has broken down, and the attack on the father and removing the father began historically, right? Mm-hmm. And men were used as bucks to breed and so forth and so on. And as you say, if a man stands in a house, a woman can't get Section 8 and all these different things that can happen.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm one of those guys that believe we got to take responsibility in our own community. And where we have a major breakdown is with African-American fathers, and it is causing major havoc, right? Because if we went back, we got to understand, and I listened to what you said, but understand the church is made up of families. So if the family is breaking down, the church is breaking down. The church and the community are working together. We got to make this happen, but we got to get to the root of this problem and start raising up strong black fathers.
But okay, how do you do it?
Well, first you gotta start with an absolute commitment that must happen, right? And we gotta start with what we have and make a commitment that we've got to make sure we encourage, teach, train, build, mentor, live with, walk with young black men.
Let me say this, and I get that.
Yeah.
But do you not realize that people born, and I'm gonna say this because this is my year. If you were born from 66 on up, you literally dropped the ball during the era where we were supposed to take the torch from the baby boomers and those that have came before us and raise this generation up.
Right.
So anybody born from, and I'll say 63.
Right.
63 on up until now,
right,
have literally dropped the torch.
Right.
Then nobody, and then we got to blame the baby boomers because nobody passed the baton.
So let me show you something that most people never pay attention to. All right, I don't want to go back too far, but let me start somewhere. World War I. Who you think were killed most, more men or women?
World War I, women, I believe.
More men.
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 Okay.
World War II.
More men.
Men. Vietnam War.
Hold that thought. Go ahead, Colin. You on there?
Yes, I was just wanting to implement. We talk about the lack of fathers in the home. You know, I can see that being a problem, but at the same time, it shouldn't matter if the father's in the home or not. A mother should. It shouldn't be just fathers that's putting discipline on these kids. I don't care if it's a single mother. You can be. There's mothers out there that have been raised kids by themselves, and their kids were disciplined since they were small kids. So he's not just a father figure that needs to be in the home to discipline these kids. What happens is mothers aren't disciplining these kids, bringing them up from the beginning. They're doing things and getting in trouble, and they're laughing at it and pointing at it. If you don't discipline him from adolescence, by the time he get up to a certain age, I mean, he is gonna be out of control. But if you discipline him from the beginning, you won't have to worry about that. It don't make a difference who's in the home. It's just like you talk about your grandmama all the time. Had your granddaddy not been in the home, do you think y'all would have just turned out any kind of way? No, because your grandmama wasn't having it.
Yeah, but watch this, Doc. And I know a lot of women finna fly off the hook when I say this. Watch this. A woman can teach a boy how to be a good person. She can't teach him how to be a man.
Can't do it.
And a man can teach his daughter how to be a good person, he can't teach her how to be a woman. So this goes hand in hand.
Right.
This is you can't have one without the other. See, mama can be in the house. She can be in the house, and she can be in the house by herself. But that boy child must have some type of man figure in his life.
And here's the deal. And because I've heard what the caller said, and thank you, caller, for calling in. I've heard what the caller said. I heard people say this all the time. And no, single-parent homes are not new. However, single-parent homes 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, even 15 years ago are different from now.
Well, back then, single-parent homes, if Dwayne got out of line in a single-parent home, and Mr. Jonathan next door,
that's it,
heard Dwayne over there disrespecting his mama that was a single parent and trying to raise Dwayne to be somebody, Mr. Johnson could come next door and be an authoritarian figure in that household just as well as if it was his dad.
Absolutely. The design, the biblical design for raising children, rearing children was the father. Yeah. The father, it was the design. The woman was helping the father. So now a woman who's working, a woman who's trying to live her life, all this stuff, is trying to raise children by herself without an uncle.
Well, that's what she's doing. She's not trying to raise. She's raising. Right. She's not rearing. Right. Children have to be reared. And the word rearing in the old folks said, child, when you rear a child means you pull them along the way. Yeah. When you rear a child, you're able to identify your child's weaknesses and your strength. The father and the mother are able to capitalize on their child. They examine the child. It's like an outside observation. It's like a case study. Right. You study the child. No child is the same. Right. You know what one child can handle, what the other child can't handle. And so you're rearing the child. You're pulling the child along the way. You're giving them the platform to be the best that they can be. Now, will all children execute on that? No. But the commitment that must be made by mother and father, rather together or not together. And if there is another man or woman in the picture, must be a collective effort by all parties involved, because at the end of the day, children come first.
But check this out. There were coaches that helped raise children. There were teachers that would help rearing those children. We had a community of people.
Okay, well, what happened?
Rearing the breakdown of the family. I was listening.
Okay, by what design, though?
By what design? I'll give you one. In racial disparities in men's imprisonment, when you look at across the board, between the ages of 35 and 39 per 100,000 people, 958 white per 100,000 men are in prison, compared to 4,832 black men that are in prison. I'm telling you.
Well, it's a 90, man, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But it's a 95% chance that a black child without a father will see the penitentiary. It's a 70% chance that even a black child with a father will see the penitentiary.
That's what I'm telling you. These systemic issues, and remember, and me and you absolutely agree on this. For me, it ain't about blaming other people, right? And the things that broke down to help annihilate and break down black families, the disparity of sentencing, all these different types of things.
But have we not also contributed to that ourselves?
We have contributed to it. However, the difference is the fallback plan. I had 2 babies before I got married. I had 2 babies before I got married by 2 different women before I got married. My kids, those boys are 30-some years old, right? All right, now, here's the difference. The fallback or the support was the grandfathers and the grandmothers of both of those boys told us to stay in college, finish school, we gonna help you. But today, when that 16-year-old has a baby, today, she get put out of her house. When I was working at Brinkley Middle School, Polo, man, if my 13, 14, I could call names, the 13, 14-year-old girl gets in trouble, I call her, she's in trouble. She got to change her dress because she wore some pants too short to come to school. Her mother comes, she's 30-something years old or younger. Guess what? She got on the same shorts. Man, we got to stand up together, man, as men and say, you know what, it doesn't matter whose child it is. We got to stand in the gap. You know, that's why, to me, man, that's why even this connection, it's emotional to me. You know,
I know it. I get it. It's real.
Because the thing that happened to all the people, but Kennedy, man, I didn't know her. But she was a girl, man. Banyard's daughter. And so now we got to understand there's a whole lot that's been lost, and we're going to have to absolutely, with reckless abandon, take our community back as men. The women ain't responsible for doing that. And that starts in the home.
It should not be on the woman's back to take back a community.
Right.
That should not, and I've said this, I've been preaching this for the last 5 years.
Right.
It is a disgrace to an African American male to sit up, be on social media, watch the news, be at anywhere he want to be at, talking about the social ills and woes that plague this community, and then sit silent on the sideline. You're not a man. That's not a man. You a species. I don't know what species you are, but I said this morning, just this morning. If white children were being slayed at the rate that we have seen our daughters and sons be slayed at in Jackson, Mississippi, I promise you, white men would take up their own vigilante groups, posses, or whatever you want to call them. They would seek real justice. And you say what you want to say, but that's their history. That's their history. Study the history of the country. When white folks felt intimidated, hey, we got to go to ID break.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
New set, new look, new network. Catch the Tanya G Show every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. on WeBelieveDigital.com. Let's talk politics, business, the future, and more. Interested in being a guest? Email viralstreamtv@gmail.com. The Tanya G Show, where the guest is the star of the show. Every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. live streamed on WeBelieveDigital.com.
All right, y'all, we are back, man. Whew. Hey, an hour ain't enough.
No, it ain't enough. We need more time.
Ain't enough.
We got to get more time.
Tell Mr. Gary we need more time. Well, guess what? We got some more time coming.
Yeah.
In the next couple of weeks, y'all will also be able to catch us in the daytime.
That's right.
On Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
On the 100,000 watt station.
WMPR.
That's
right.
The Pick and the Polo
Pick
show.
and Polo
coming
midday.
10:30 to 11:30.
That's right.
Oh man, they ain't ready.
Let's get it.
But listen, I was saying this in closing, in that last segment, that white American men would not sit by in silence and let their community be ravished. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, period. Now we always try to have some solutions. Right. We've had some hot topics tonight. What are our solutions for the problems we've discussed tonight?
Well, we got to look at it, and we've been talking about this for a while, about changing culture, right? Mm-hmm. Shifting culture. So we know we got a reactive side of this, and we got to get a proactive side of this.
Hold that thought. Go ahead, caller, you on there. Go ahead, caller, you on there. Go ahead, caller, you on there.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all, that conversation y'all having about the topic about the men in the family. Mm-hmm. I think there is a big breakdown, not only
in the communities as men. I think, when we look at the women are heading everything you look at in the church. The women's stand up front. In the communities, the women get out. Just all over abroad, the women's are taking over. And I believe the men's are just sitting back and looking back and just being, not men, just being bench warmers, what you call them. So I'm going to just let you all talk about that.
All right, caller. Thanks for calling, man. Thanks for your support. There it is. Another brother saying that men have forsaken their posts. But I just want to clarify this. A man don't forsake his posts. Right. So when we talk about a fatherless community, and I'm going to get out your way because you got to come with the solutions. When we talk about a fatherless community, there is, and I've said this on my show long before me and you teamed up, Black America doesn't have, and I thank God for what we're doing right now, because I believe we're about to change that all throughout America, right here on We Believe Digital Podcast Studio. Garrett broadcasts 149 countries, as well as on Roku. Right. I believe that this is what Black America needs to hear. Black America doesn't have a moral code. We don't have a moral code. We don't have leaders promoting a moral conduct among ourselves, all right? We don't even have real leaders that advocate for true dialogue like we're having tonight, all right? And so when we talk about what you've been talking about, solutions, how do we get there?
How we get there, how we start. And I've experienced this for the last 30 years. So one of the things I've been committed to in the work that I've done in partnership with a lot of other people is raising up strong men. And the first thing I told my congregation over 25 years ago on 226 Whitfield Street in the Midtown community, we're going to make a concerted effort to reach men and boys. And women bought into that. And I would sit, man, for weeks at a time, discipling men, talking to men. And that talking conversation wasn't just Bible study, it was life study.
No, you need life study.
Right. Yeah. I would have men write letters to their wives. Some of those wives had never gotten letters before. And some of those wives would come up to me after church.
Why do you think that?
Because, men were not taught how to do that. Remember, there was a time where
have black men been taught how to love a woman?
We have not been taught, man. It's been a tragedy. And now we got a generation now that's being educated through rap music. And I'm not against all rap music, but women became B's and H's, and now our girls accept it.
But women buy that stuff. They listen to it. They twerk to it.
But they twerk to it and they listen to it. But what you've never seen is a young girl with a strong father in her life that went for that. A girl with a strong father in life, that young man wasn't putting his hand on her.
Yeah, at Jackson State, and I'm gonna pull it up on my jump drive. At Jackson State, in my impromptu speech class, I had to write a research paper on the B word. Why is it acceptable among black women? They'll accept it in rap. They'll accept it calling each other the B word.
Put it on their tag.
But watch this. But you better not call her that. Or the white man or anybody else cannot call her that. So the hypocrisy that surrounds that word is another psychological breakdown in this community. Right. See, I can't expect Johnny not to call me the B word when he mad at me if I'm listening to Meg and everybody else call me the B word, and then I'm on the phone talking to my girlfriend, calling her, "Oh, B, you come on now."
Right.
So how do you change that?
Polo, we got to change the dialogue. We got to change the dialogue, and we got to change the culture. And here's one of the things that's doing it. The power, life, and death is in your tongue, right? So now, because I take it personal, because I look back over my life and say, what damage over the course of my life and my history have I caused to my black sisters? And I've had to repent. Okay? And so, but after I repent, I can't leave it there. Now I got to try to make it right. So now I got to try to make it right by helping my sisters and helping black women, helping them to have the right kind of husband, helping them to understand they ain't got to be nobody's booty call. They ain't got to, all that stuff, man. I mean, the damage it does psychologically to a boy, based on research that hears the headboard in his mother's room from sexual relations with a man
that ain't his dad.
And,
I read that.
2 months,
I read that.
2 months before that, it was another man. They say it creates anger and a hurt toward women. So when we look at all the stuff,
so she creating an abuser and don't even know it.
It's multifaceted. But see what we gotta do.
That's deep there,
and
y'all.
I think it's something that we really agreed on. You know, we made a decision. We weren't gonna play the blame game. We said we're gonna be a show and two men that are about solutions for our community, real stuff. All right. So now we gotta back up and say, all right, how do we bring this together? How do we now build up our young boys, our young girls? And I'm telling you, we can't do that without relationships. We can't do that without, sometimes people don't care what you know until they know that you care. They need to know we love them. Ain't no strings attached to it.
Well, I believe this. Aggressively engaging our youth.
Okay, that's right.
Age 7 to 14.
Right.
And that needs to happen.
Got
I mean, like that needs to happen like ASAP. Like it should have been happening yesterday.
Right.
All right. Throughout this community.
Right.
Ages 7 to 14. Aggressively engaging them, boys and girls.
Right.
All right. That means the church.
That's right.
That means school. That means mentorship. That means grandma, granddaddy. That means mama, daddy, boyfriend, co-parenting. Everybody.
Across the board.
Right. If we go change this has to be a collective effort across the board.
Absolutely.
Law enforcement, community, and I'm gonna talk about this. Now, you want to come back tomorrow? You can.
Yeah.
I got some stuff I got to talk about tomorrow. I can't talk about it on this show because this is your show along with me. But I can talk about it on my show where you won't be in the hot seat. Right. So you come on back tomorrow too. But anyway, we aggressively got to target our children, all right? And I had an interesting conversation this morning with somebody that I highly respect, and they brought this to my attention. They said, you know, I feel your hurt, I feel your pain for Kennedy, for Spurge, all these people that I'm connected to, all right? They said, but let me ask you this: if you throw away the key on young people that are perpetuating these crimes, did you ever take an assessment of why they're committing the crimes? They said, listen, have you ever thought about putting your number out for people that are being molested, children that are being molested, children that are being beaten, children that are being left home to fend for themselves, children that are being given drugs to sell for older folks because they ain't got no money and they need some clothes. And I get that. Do we ever think about that there? And I know this for a fact for talking to Judge William Skinner, who used to be over the juvenile detention, that 99% of the children that are coming to juvenile detention have been traumatically abused in some shape, form, or fashion. Might not be all physical abuse.
Right.
Some of it can be mental. You ain't gonna be nothing. You just like your daddy. Get out of here. I don't care if you don't never come back. All that. To a young child who's already living in poverty, might hadn't had nothing to eat, got to eat around the corner, ain't nobody giving you no lunch money, ain't bought you no shoes, you out here hustling to buy your own shoes. That creates anger within itself.
Absolutely.
That can create. Now, I'm not saying it makes it right for you to go out and take a gun and shoot somebody, but definitely those components could lead to some of the stuff that we're seeing.
There's no doubt. I mean, research has proven it. We've seen it. But man, this is the call. This is what we're saying together, side by side.
That's it.
But okay, National Guard, police presence, all that stuff is a reactive situation to what's going on now. Whatever happens with that, that's out of our hands. Mm-hmm. But what we can say, what we can fix in our own community is the decision that we're going to raise up strong men.
We can do it.
And we're going to conversate and we're going to talk about it. And men that, 80-90% of men that go to prison are coming out.
Matter of fact.
Well, we got to rehab them.
Matter of fact, they out now. They're being released as of July the 1st.
Which means that now we got to make sure we are helping to provide a way to wholeness. The difference between me and you and some other guy, Polo, when we messed up in life, in young life, there was somebody that gave us support.
Ain't no doubt.
But when a guy don't have no support, see, we think these guys just running around here want somebody to give them something. That ain't the truth. They need support.
The average person wants to be taught what's right.
They want to be taught what's right.
I'll give you that. The average person wants to be taught what's right. Even the most hardest criminal. I'm not going to say the hardest criminal. I'm going to say the person that's out here committing criminal acts. Really, some are doing it for the lack of attention. They want to be taught what's right. It just ain't nobody there to teach it.
Right. It's going to take all of us to get this fixed, right? So remember, we fighting for what's right. We're fighting together. We're standing. Well, we're talking about church. We're talking about community. We're talking about police departments. We're talking about leaders. We're talking about politicians. Everybody taking up their rightful place, and let's start something. Let's aggressively attack this with this next generation.
Well, man, listen. We did it tonight.
Hey, it's been a good night.
Week 2 is in the books of the Pick and Polo show. You've been tuned in to the most thought-provoking show, the most talked-about show in the whole entire state. Tonight's show has been brought to you by earthblendcoffee.co. It's just good coffee, roasted right here, earthblendcoffee.co.
Hey family, this is Pastor J.R.D. Stuckey
and Pastor Jonathan T. Phillips Jr.
And together we are the hosts of The Doors of the Church Are Open right here on WeBelieveDigital.com.
And you can meet us, greet us, and be a part of this platform, this conversation every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. We're ready to talk about those things that's going on in our churches, around our churches, what we believe, what we feel, those taboo conversations that people really, Pastor, just don't want to deal with.
So every Thursday right here at 6:30, join us where we're going to talk about what's going on with The Doors of the Church Are Open.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit Earthblend